This demo is on ways to sharpen and use a pencil. The first sharpening technique is with the pencil sharpener. This is great because it's quick and yields a nice sharp point with little effort. While wonderful for writing and drawing fine details, it isn't the best for shading because it doesn't leave much of the graphite exposed. Sometimes it can leave a little nub on the end, but that can be sharpened off with the sanding block. The other technique is with a razor blade, and the benefit here is that it exposes more of the graphite, allowing you to hold and use the pencil in ways you can't with the shorter pencil sharpener point. Hold the pencil away from you, and using a very sharp razor, shave off pieces of wood in an even manner as you rotate the pencil, doing a little at a time and trying to keep the point straight. If it isn't perfect, that's okay, you can tidy it up in a minute. Once you are happy with how much graphite is exposed, you can even everything out on the sanding block. Wipe down the end of the pencil to remove excess dust so it doesn't transfer to your hands or drawing later on. Here you can see the difference between the two. The pencil on the left was sharpened with the razor, and the one on the right was sharpened with the pencil sharpener. There are different ways to make marks with the pencil. The one we are most familiar with is a very controlled grip that uses the wrist. This is how we hold pencils for writing, but it is also great for detail work. Holding the pencil in this manner uses the very tip of the graphite. When you work larger, this can be limiting because you can only create a mark as far as the wrist's rotation will allow. The other method is to use the side of the pencil. Notice how the wrist stays locked. The elbow is also locked and the motion comes from the shoulder. This allows you to make larger, more gestural marks without having to resort to a series of little lines pieced together that may look sketchy or hairy when finished. You can hold the pencil closer or further back depending on what's comfortable. Drawing like this splits the difference and is nice for shading detail because you have the control of the wrist but are able to use the side of the pencil. Pressure is key when drawing. Applying pressure unevenly will result in overlapping stripes. Practice using less pressure with longer, smoother strokes to help achieve a more consistent tone. If you need a darker value, switch to a softer pencil or gradually build up the value. To begin the drawing, I like to lay out a loose, light line drawing. This is a guideline, and I will stay flexible with it as I work. I don't want it to act as a coloring book waiting to be filled in. In fact, by the end, most of these lines won't even be visible. My preference is the gum eraser because it doesn't smear as often and isn't so abrasive as the pink pearl, my second favorite for pencil drawings. With the loose structure in place, I'm ready to start looking for value. I will often make very light notations of where my brightest highlights are so I can keep in mind to work around them. Then you can start laying in the midtones. By working with the side of the pencil, it becomes easier to blend values together. A dull pencil is nice for filling in swaths of value in small areas, but a sharp pencil is necessary for detail work. Both have their place. With the lighter midtones established, begin building up towards darker values. Because shadow cannot exist without light, and light cannot exist without shadow, a darker shadow will make highlights appear brighter, and vice versa. Aim for a full value range with bright whites, deep velvety blacks, and many different midtones. Pay attention to how light reflects off the surroundings. If your subject matter is sitting on a bright white surface, light will bounce off of it. It's helpful to lay a sheet of smooth, clean scrap paper under your hand to prevent smearing. Look for areas where implied line can be used. It may be necessary to erase some of your guidelines for this. Fine details come in at the very end, so they sit on top of the tonal gradations. Line does not totally disappear with a drawing that uses value, but it's used sparingly and only where necessary.